Have you ever wanted to play a farming simulation game filled with the theme of existentialism and saving lazy people from melting in a volcanic eruption while being interrupted in gameplay several times by a fade to black transition complete with a loud bell sound effect? Well, have I got the game for you! Harvest Moon, or Story of Seasons as it's now known, is a very popular farming sim series by Marvelous Inc. A pioneer of its genre, the developers have released a bunch of games in the series, including the popular spin-off series, Rune Factory, A Fantasy Harvest Moon, which I actually haven't played that much of. However, another spin-off game that you could say is the unpopular forgotten cousin of Rune Factory is the game we'll be taking a look at today, Innocent Life. Intended as a futuristic Harvest Moon with sci-fi elements, the game was developed by Arte Piazza and released on the PSP in 2006 for Japan and 2007 for the rest of the world. However, I'm more familiar with the PlayStation 2 Special Edition from 2008. While classic Story of Season games have you focusing on fixing up dilapidated farms, shipping crops, raising animals, and eventually getting married and starting a family, Innocent Life has you do basically all of that, except instead of a farm, you're fixing up dilapidated ruins, and instead of a happy marriage and family, you get to be lonely and single. Since you're a robot. Oh yeah, forgot to mention that you're a robot. Starting a new game requires naming our robot main character. I go with the name Tai, spelled T-I-E, which is what I called him when I was a wee protostar with a tiny brain. When the game begins, we see an image of where the story takes place, a heart-shaped island with a volcano in the middle, appropriately called Heartflame Island. I bet it's great in the summer. In the far-off year of 2022, and in the town of Volcano Town, we see Dr. Hope, a scientist creating a resident application for Tai, at first calling him a robot before retyping it as male. This is a theme the game comes back to a lot, about what it means to be human. Naturally, a rule of writing plots about robots requires you to explain what's human about them for some reason. We also catch a glimpse of the mayor of Volcano Town and his son discussing that Dr. Hope is really going through with some plan. After dumbly staring at the screen for a bit before realizing I need to press something to wake Tai up, we get to finally meet Dr. Hope, our father, and Vita, his maid. Dr. Hope explains he sent us the image of the island earlier and that our farming teacher is here. Heading over, I speak with Dr. Hope first, who asks, "What's wrong? Aren't you going to say hello to our guest?" "Alright, chill out there, Dad. I was literally just born a few minutes ago. At least give me a moment to figure out how to walk first." So I speak with our guest, Gaiak? There's a joke in there somewhere, but before I can figure it out, I wander off to explore a bit of Dr. Hope's manor. Dude is loaded. So much so that Dr. Hope mentions he bought some ruins on the east outskirts of town that Tai will be tending to, called the Easter Ruins. Are you starting to notice a pattern in how the devs name things? Gaiak impatiently pulls Tai away, but not before Dr. Hope can give me his old watering can. On the way to Gaiak's house for farming practice, Tai sees some little sprites that run off to tell a spirit about him. Outside Gaiak's house, it's finally time to practice farming. Standard Harvest Moon stuff: use a hoe to till the soil, plant some seeds, water, and wait a few days to harvest. Plop the crops in a shipping pod and you get paid the next day. We need to use the triangle button to perform any action as well as examine things, but we also need to first press the L1 button to bring up the equipment menu and scroll through to equip the item we want. But you can cycle through items in the overworld using circle and square. It's somewhat clunky to line yourself up with a plot, so I'd sometimes end up repeating an action when I wasn't trying to. I'm getting through the tutorial, but Gaiak keeps feeling the need to interrupt the gameplay and comment on every single action I take. Once the tutorial is done, Tai meets Gaiak's wife, Marlene, who lets him stay the night. The next day I receive a seed bag from Marlene and some turnip seeds from Gaiak. Then we meet Marcia, the granddaughter of Gaiak and Marlene, who starts bombarding Tai with questions since he's apparently the first visitor the town has had in a while. She asks Gaiak if Tai is related to Dr. Hope, but Gaiak changes the subject since it's a secret that Tai is a robot. On the way back to the doctor, Marcia stops to mention the nature sprites, the little guys we saw here earlier. They seem to be beings that only a select few can actually see, she being one of them. At the manor, everyone has a feast as a farewell party to Tai. Later that night, Dr. Hope talks to Tai about the meaning of life and the human heart. But I'm a little distracted by the fact that sometimes, when a lot of text is placed in the speech box, it auto-advances quickly before I get a chance to read everything. Seriously, this is an issue that plagues the game dialogue the whole time, and it forced me to have to re-talk to overworld NPCs to fully get what they were saying. But in story cutscenes like this, it can be a little annoying. The next day, I go to speak with Dr. Hope in front of the Grain family grave. Can't help but notice the end year says 2020. That's a little eerie, by the way. And then this weirdo artist, Moonlight, a weirdo artist, shows up to escort Tai to the Easter ruins. We say our goodbyes to Dr. Hope after he tells us to come back every Sunday. This is something pretty important for the player to remember, as the game will not remind you to do this. You need to come back every Sunday in order to advance the plot. Okay, finally, Moonlight leads the way and we're off! Oh, but we stop right before leaving town so Moonlight can explain that we're about to enter a cave. Then we enter the cave. And leave the cave. Then we walk a few steps outside before Moonlight stops again to say we're almost there. Then we run the rest of the way, but the player has to sit and watch this too. So finally, we reach the ruins and Moonlight, you're stopping again, dude! Look, I do get what the devs were going for here. They wanted to show us the exact path to the ruins since you'll be going back and forth between there and the town, as well as show that Dr. Hope truly cares about Tai a lot since he asked other people to teach him things and escort him places, but this section could have still been cut down to respect the player's time. Simply fading to black once we first entered that field area instead of forcing the player to watch the characters only run from point A to point B would have more than sufficed. By the way, it's a straight shot to the ruins, so they really didn't have to do this at all. You can't get lost. So anyway, after Moon Brother over here brings us to our new room that Dr. Hope set up for us and explains that he and the people in town don't have a lot of confidence that Tai can break the seals in these ruins and restore them to their original, more fertile form. Thanks for that, by the way. We're woken up the next day by a random old man named Franco, who apparently lives here in these ruins. He has Tai plant some seeds on the ruins' rooftop farm, and then I wander around to find the students and teachers of the Volcano Town School have shown up, uninvited, for a field trip. While talking to them, this bell that tells me what time it is sounds. Did you like it? Think it's cute? I sure hope so, cause this bell will sound every single time the day transitions. And you can't skip it either. Yeah, it gets old quick. Franco explains that I shouldn't leave the ruins until I make my first harvest in about 6 days. I feel like this whole situation might be breaking some form of child labor laws, but before I can really ponder about it, the field trip goers leave so I can finally return to being alone on my absolutely massive farm. Seriously, this is a lot of squares, what the heck. I also go down to the storage area in the basement and find some sealed off rooms. Something worth noting here is, to open the menu for the storage or the trash bin for some reason requires you to press the circle button, when everything else in the game uses triangle. Just a little inconvenient for seemingly no reason. Back in my room, I cook some food and watch anime before heading off to bed. We get skill increases sometimes after going to sleep that are based on what we did during the day. So, for example, cooking something will increase your cooking skill. For the human skills, it's a little hard to tell how to specifically increase some of them, like Love and Challenge, but I assume some of these are just connected to story beats. With the tool skills, you increase them the more you use them, which is why numbers will sometimes appear over Tai's head while using a tool. Increasing your tool skills will allow you to equip better tools later on that you can find in treasure chests or buying in the store. You also learn food recipes by watching the Cooking Life channel on TV, which is important to actually beat the game. You'll see later. You sell plants through the Herbal Garden channel, buy and sell animals through the World Ranch channel, and enjoy TV shows on the drama and anime channels that have a surprising amount of well-written and different shows to watch every week. You can also check the weather here, which can be useful for planning your actions for the day. Tai needs to rest every night, meaning that no matter what you're doing when the night bell rings, you need to drop it to sleep in a bed or a tent. You have a stamina bar as well, or your pee-pee bar. This decreases with every action with a tool you take, like breaking rocks. I expected Tai to just pass out if he used all of his pee-pee, but it turns out the game just kinda goes, no, and prevents you from taking any more actions. You can replenish some stamina from red stones you find through breaking rocks. Although you can't save it for later, since if you try to take them outside a cave, they transform into plain ore. So it's important to monitor all of these factors in order to beat the game. Heading to the farm the next day, Tai overhears a conversation between yet more uninvited guests, Marco, the owner of a large farming corporation, and Charles, the mayor's son, whom we saw in the opening cutscene earlier. They discuss that it's impossible for Tai to make the ruins usable as farmland and that Dr. Hope believing in spirits is nonsense. They bump into Tai on the way out, and Charles asks Tai to keep the fact that he's a robot a secret from the townspeople, since only a handful are aware that Tai isn't human. You know, Charles, I really don't care about that as much as I care that I apparently don't have a bolt on my front door, so strangers keep wandering in. So anyway, after tending to the crops and coming back the next day, geez, do any of you people know how to knock? So after the inconvenience of socializing, a few days later the crops are done and can finally be shipped. Moonlight takes Tai back to see Dr. Hope for Sunday maintenance and brings this BattleBot in tow, which was apparently created by the ancient Easter people. He's hoping the doctor will be able to repair it. And if you're wondering, yes, you actually have to watch them walk all the way back. After maintenance, you're driven around by the grocery store owner, Million, and Marcia so they can show us the different buildings in town, like Million's grocery store, Shop-A-Million, where the player can buy more seeds, tools, and other things to speed up the farming process, like motorized carts and tracks for moving baskets around. Returning to the ruins, I receive a bag of asparagus seeds from Marcia. From here, I pretty much have free reign. I spend my spare time exploring the town, watching TV, and barging in on an old man using the bathroom. Oops. Oh, I love this area. I remember when I was younger, I thought this was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in a game. At the next maintenance with Dr. Hope, Gaiak comes in and asks Tai to ship some crops other than potatoes and turnips for the upcoming spring festival. Dr. Hope makes note that the people on the island don't celebrate it anymore, but Gaiak mentions that people are getting nervous about some rumors that the nearby volcano, Flame Mountain, might erupt and would probably be into a festival about appeasing the fire spirit. Oh, I see how it is. Don't believe in spirits until you actually meet them to save your life, huh? Alright. If I manage to ship enough crops by then, the townspeople might get inspired enough to repair a broken bridge I found near the ruins, which would allow me to travel to other parts of the island. And with that, I get to work planting a bunch of seeds. It's at this point that the game's main loop begins to become apparent. Do something that the Volcano Town people ask you to get done by a deadline, and then wait for Sunday to progress the story. Although that sounds good in writing, in practice, it can lead to the player having a lot of downtime while waiting for the next Sunday. This happened to me a lot. Or times when I had too much to do on the farm and I simply started ignoring my crops because it was just easier to sleep and skip to the next day. I eventually received the Grain family key from Dr. Hope, which allows me to get into another part of the cave that connects the town to the east side of the island. In it, there's some jewels that can be set in altars on the farm to unlock more land and doors in both the ruins and around the island. Although you need 4 of the same type of jewels for it to work. After shipping different kinds of crops, the day of the Spirit Festival arrives. On the way there, Marcia brings up the nature sprites again, explaining that her grandma, Marlene, told her they're a form of the forest spirit who, get this, protects the forest. She asks me if I've seen them, and I say yes. She's relieved to hear it, as the other citizens apparently don't believe her. So wait, the townsfolk are so worried about rumors that a fire spirit exists and wants to make a volcano erupt that they throw an entire festival to appease it. But when Marcia mentions actually seeing nature sprites that are said to be connected to a forest spirit, they assume she's making it up? Okay, these people don't know what to think. Hiya! This video ended up taking forever to edit and my potato laptop is struggling, so I'm gonna end it here for now. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for part 2. Until next time everyone, shine on!